And I heard this really nice quote once. It's like, most people die at 18, but then they're buried at 85. So at 18, we're ready to take on the world. We're ready to make the life that we want. And then because we don't have the tools to make that happen, or the guts to make that happen, we don't go after it. So artists become accountants, songs don't get written, and people live this life that's not true to them.
So, Summer Shred. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to cover the myths surrounding nutrition and exercise, and we're also going to cover the foundation of nutrition, exercise, accountability and consistency, and then we're going to do a Q&A at the end. So if you guys could keep a record of all your questions for the end, that'll be awesome. If you have questions during it, I'd rather keep it to the end, but if it's something that's really important right then, you could ask it during it, no problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover nutrition. So this is the nutrition pyramid done by Eric Helms. I'm going to cover the myths of nutrition in a second, but as you can see here, this is the base. So the base is energy balance into macronutrients, micronutrients, timing, and supplements. Now, the problem with a lot of people's nutrition habits is everyone's focusing on the top. Most of the people the first question that we get is what about eating past 5 p.m.? Or intermittent fasting, or keto or paleo. These are the questions that most people ask. Cookie diet. We always get, just eat cookies? Is it actually?
Yeah, it's a thing, yeah.
That's fucking weird. Lemon detox diet, just don't eat for 6 days. That's what people always ask. No one's asking caloric intake or energy balance of the body or hormones or anything like that, metabolism, gut health. No one looks into that. Everyone's like, okay, what's the easiest, quickest way for me to lose weight? That's the first thing that people ask. What are the supplements I could take? What fat burners will help me lose fat quicker? These are the biggest questions we get asked all the time. As you can tell here, the very first base is your energy balance. No one ever covers the energy balance. Just put your hand up if you track your macronutrients and calories. Awesome. That's actually pretty good. Bunny.
3 days in. 3 days.
So we're going to dive into the myths now. So the first one, supplements. As you can tell, this is the very, very top of the pyramid, the supplements. Your fat burners and what have you, all these little things that you chuck into your diet, these are only 1%ers. I'm not saying that they don't help, but what I'm saying is if you don't have your base of energy balance, your macronutrients and your micronutrients, your supplements don't matter. They're not going to do anything. You're trying to just chuck a Band-Aid over a big injury. It's not going to fix it. And so we want to make sure that if you're going to get into supplements, make sure you have the base. So the first myth, don't get caught up in supplements. There's no perfect supplement. Whatever someone's selling on Facebook or Instagram or one of your friends are telling you this supplement's the one that did everything for me. It's no, it's not. Don't fall into that trap. Same thing as timing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what time you get your protein intake in. It doesn't matter what time you eat. It doesn't matter whether you wake up and don't eat and do intermittent fasting. It doesn't matter whether you eat past 5 p.m. None of these things matter. What matters the most is your energy balance. They've done studies where they've tested having one large meal in comparison to 3 meals in comparison to 5 meals. There's no difference. There's literally no difference between separating your meals out throughout the day and having 5 meals, or having 3 meals, or having 1 meal. And there's certain people out there that do only have 1 big meal a day. Now, the issue with that, though, is saying that if you can have 1 meal, there's no way that all of us as individuals could eat 2,000 calories in 1 meal. So that's the reason why we break up the meals throughout the day. Another reason is because there are benefits to energy. If we're consistently having meals throughout the day, we're consistently sparking our energy and we're going to have intake of food, of energy throughout the day. So there is that benefit. But in regards to timing for weight loss or muscle gain, there is no difference between 5 meals, 3 meals, and 1 meal. So if you're so caught up in this timing of meals, you're doing it wrong. That doesn't matter. The next one, too much of a calorie deficit. This is massive, especially for women. We're so fixated on trying to lose weight that we get too far into a calorie deficit where our performance, our muscles, our hormones, our gut health, everything like that is being affected. All our hormones are being affected, and then that's going to affect the performance of our body. It's just if you're driving a car, right, and you're putting any fuel into it, it's not going to go anywhere. Same thing as the body. If we look at athletes, which is why we try and train our clients and our members to be like athletes, is because if you look at an athlete, Michael Phelps eats 15,000 calories a day. That's just absolutely insane. So crazy, legitimately so crazy. But the fact is he swims fucking 6 hours a day, right? He swims so much, he exerts so much energy, he could get away with it. But the idea is, the reason why he eats so much, he has so much energy going into his body, so many calories, is because of the performance that he gains from it. If we're not fueling our body isn't going to perform, it's not going to rest, it's not going to recover, it's not going to be able to build muscle. And so be mindful of the fact that if you're under eating, it's going to affect your body composition, because if you're not feeding your body, your muscles aren't going to recover, they're not going to build, and you get fat skinny. And everyone knows what fat skinny is, right? Put your hand up. Yeah. Another aspect of like the whole fat skinny aspect as well, if you're putting stress to your body by not feeding it enough to perform, it's going to then have an imbalance of hormones, and it's going to affect stuff like estrogen, and which also affects being fat skinny as well. Because if you're not putting enough food into your body, you're stressing your body's going to hold on to fat, it's going to hold on to estrogen, it's going to have an imbalance of hormones, and then your body's going to blow out. It's going to hold on to fat, and it will move into something called gluconeogenesis, where the body breaks down its own muscle, not only through the organs, but the muscle of your muscle tissue throughout your whole entire body, to then turn that into energy, because it wants to store into fat for survival. Put your hand up if you're keeping up. Cool, awesome. So do not get too caught up in the calorie deficit aspect. You're better off fueling your body for recovery, for performance, and then when you're in the gym, you can perform better. You can do more training within the gym, you can exert more energy, you can recover better, your muscles are going to grow, you're going to lose fat because your body's in a high metabolism. Your metabolism adapts. You're not born with one fixed metabolism. The metabolism always adapts. Metabolism is like the chemical reaction of everything within the body. And so over time, you can change your body and your metabolism to adapt to become faster or to become slower. We create that. And so this is why reverse diet is a thing. You could go from 2,000 calories, slowly increase your caloric intake to the point where your metabolism, your body speeds up. So to be mindful of that. Quality of food doesn't matter. That's also a massive myth. It's mainly within bodybuilding. Like people are like, oh, if it fits your macros, you could just eat a certain amount of calories and macronutrients and your body's going to, have a certain response. The issue with that is there is quality of food. Food does affect your gut health, it affects your hormones, stuff like that as well. So be very mindful of the food that you eat as well. Cool, everyone keep it up? So, I'm going to go over just the bases. So I'm going to go over energy balance and macronutrients. First two bases, if no one's following that, can't really help you. As a coach, if I'm working with someone with nutrition and they don't have their energy balance and macronutrients in place, I can't go anywhere else. Once I have that base, then I could play around with other stuff like gut health and micronutrients and other hormonal issues. But without having energy balance and macronutrients, it's hard for me to tell where these issues are coming from, because someone might be under eating or overeating, which then can create a hormonal imbalance. But if I get a client that's been consistent with their nutrition, with their calories and their macronutrients, then I could actually tell, okay, well, you're being consistent, you're eating a certain amount of calories, you should be at this certain point, but there's no shifts, then there might be something underlying, there might be something with your gut health or something hormonal. So get this base right first. So very first thing, energy balance. So calories are just a measure of energy. It's not only used for food, it's also used for coal and stuff like that, but we use it in food anyway. So calories are just the way that we measure the energy of food that goes into our body. Now the importance of tracking that is you want to find out where your maintenance calories are, or your surplus of calories, or your calorie deficit. We want to know how much energy your body is emitting, and the best way to do that is to track how much energy is going in. Because if you put 1,800 calories within your body and you're losing weight, chances are your body's working at a higher energy output than 1,800 calories a day. If everyone's keeping up? Yeah. Cool. So if you're having 1,800 calories, losing weight, it means your body's exerting more than 1,800 calories of energy a day. Without knowing that knowledge, we don't know where we're going. So we need to know that. And as you can tell here, if we're at a weight maintenance, the energy in and energy out is the same. If you're at a weight loss, energy in is less than energy out. Weight gain, you're putting more energy in than you're putting out. That makes perfect sense, right? If you eat more, and put more energy into your body than you put out, you're going to store it, hold on to it, and you're going to gain weight. Now this is the very base. Like I said, this is the foundation. You need to track this. Outside of this, there are other factors, like there could be hormonal issues or there could be gut health issues. But without this base, we don't know that. So get this done right first, guys. Track your calories for a good 3 months or so. It will take time. If you haven't tracked your calories for a period of time, you haven't maintained your calories, you don't know what your caloric intake is, you need to do it for at least 3 months to try and get your body to a baseline, to get it to a base metabolic rate, and then to also track and see where it's going. It will take time. This is the biggest thing as well. A lot of people go to the gym and they're expecting results within their first 3 months, but they haven't attended a gym for 10 years. You know what I mean? How ridiculous is that? We had this expectation oh, I haven't done anything for 10 years, but I'm going to go to the gym and lose everything in 3 months. It's absolutely ridiculous. Be realistic with your results, guys. It doesn't mean don't disempower yourself that you can't achieve these results. You definitely can, but also be realistic in the fact that if you've taken so long to get your health into place, it's going to take time for your health to come back, if that makes sense. So, caloric intake. Now, remember, energy balance determines whether we gain weight or lose weight. Eat more, gain weight. Eat less, lose weight. Baseline anyway. Like I said, that's not the same for everyone. Some people might have hormonal issues or gut health issues as well. But once you get that base, we could go from there. There is a science behind losing fat. 3,500 calories to lose half a kilogram of fat. And so that's why we're trying to be in a deficit of about 500 calories a day, because then within a week you'll be losing half a kilo of fat. To give you guys an idea of a healthy weight loss, you should be losing about a 0.5 to 1% of your body weight on a week-to-week basis. Anything past that, in your initial weight loss, and depending on how much weight you have, you're going to lose more weight naturally. But on average, you should be losing about 0.5 to 1% of your body weight per week. So if you weigh 100 kilos, you should be losing about 500 grams to a kilo a week. So that is a healthy base. If you're 700 kilos, shit. You got problems. If you weigh 70 kilos, you should be 700 grams or 350 grams a week. Does that make sense to everyone? Cool. So don't be too hard on yourself. You're like, oh, I'm gonna lose 5 kilos a week and you weigh 70 kilos. It's not gonna happen. It could happen, but it probably won't be very healthy. And you're gonna also remember, like if you're losing weight, if you're in a deficit, the body will start to kick into muscle as well. Not always. If we're eating well and we're training well, then you can preserve as much muscle. You can even gain muscle sometimes during a weight loss. But if you're actually too far in a deficit and you're trying to lose weight, your body will also lose muscle at the same time. So do it in a healthy, consistent, more longevity type of weight loss, and then you'll keep your body composition. Instead of going into skinny fat, we just go hard, lose too much weight too quickly, lose all your muscles well, and then just the exact same size but smaller. You know, you're the exact same shape but smaller, and we don't want that to happen. Do not undereat. Literally, I just said that. Then look after your hormones and gut health. But that's afterwards. Chances are, like, we've done seminars on hormones and gut health and what have you as well. And we'll definitely do it in the future again. If you guys want to come to ATP seminar, I highly recommend it. I'm not going to discuss that today, but track your calories, find a baseline for your calories over a 3-month period. And then if you're not getting any results and you don't know where you're going, like if nothing's changed within 3 months, then come see one of us, see a professional, or come to our seminars about hormones. But if you find that your calories aren't helping, there's something probably deeper that you might need a professional help you with. Make sense, everyone? Mm-hmm. Awesome. Sleep and stress affects muscle recovery and weight loss as well. Josh is going to dive into that a little bit as well, but then we got our autonomous nervous system. So we got our parasympathetic nervous system and our sympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system is the stress state, fight or flight, which is where it just sends all the blood to our muscles, and that's when we become catabolic. That's when we break down muscle. Rest and digest is the parasympathetic state, which is when we actually recover, when we heal our muscles and recover from that. When we train, we want to just put ourselves into a stress state, like a sympathetic nervous system state, so we can break down muscle. That's the goal. We want to put our body through stress so then our body can adapt, become stronger from that stress, and then so next time that stress occurs within your life, your body's ready for that stress. That makes sense. That's how we work with our body. Now, if we're always in a sympathetic nervous state and we're always stressed, our body's always in a catabolic state, and it's not going to go through rest and digest. It's going to affect our digestion of food, affect our gut health, and it'll also affect our muscle recovery and our body composition as well. So be very mindful of that. Train to stress the body. Everything else outside of the stress of training should be moving you towards a rest and digest state, a recovery state, parasympathetic nervous state. That is the secret to achieving your goals. If you're always consistently putting yourself in a sympathetic nervous state, you're always going to be stressing your body, and your body's not going to recover, and it will affect your digestion as well. They find that IBS and a lot of health issues, like gut health issues, are actually linked to stress, which is crazy. Most of IBS is actually a stress-induced IBS. There's something ridiculous, like Nikki said, it was something like 90%, something crazy. So be mindful of that. If you're having gut health issues, think about maybe it's like an anxious stomach, it's an energetic stomach through stress. Diving into macronutrients, so we already dived into calories. These are your 3 big macronutrients: protein, fats, and carbohydrates. Your protein or your carbs are about 4 calories per gram. So like if you're having 100 grams of protein, for instance, the macronutrient of protein. Oh, coffee gets me so high, hey. Woo! Shit. All right. Stress, yeah. Coffee is literally just cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone. So you literally, if you drink coffee, it's literally just purely putting yourself into, like, fuck yeah. You're literally just drinking stress, but it makes us high as shit because like stress literally puts all the blood into our muscles and gives us focus, which is why coffee's so crazy. And the people have like 10 coffees a day and they're like, oh, I feel great. I'm just like, no, you're just stressed as shit. All right, so protein, for instance, like protein is stuff in your eggs, your meat, stuff like that. If you're having about 100 grams of protein, like meat, you're going to be about 20 to 25 grams of protein within that 100 grams of meat, if that makes sense to everyone. So macronutrients are within your foods. Now, for each gram of protein, it's 4 calories per gram. Carbohydrates the exact same, and you get 9 calories per gram of fat, which is why you went through that myth of like, oh, fat makes you fat, because there is more energy within fat. That's a lie. There's a lot of benefits to fat, as we can see here as well. It helps with normal growth and development. It also is your energy source. It helps with absorbing certain fatty acids and vitamins, and providing cushioning for the organs, maintaining cell membranes. Fats are really important for hormones, especially for women. The biggest issue that we find with women is they don't need enough fats, especially between all three, like your poly, mono, and saturated fats. So make sure you get a nice blend of all fats within your diet. So stuff like avocado, eggs, nuts are good. Don't be scared of saturated fats, guys. Protein, for instance, is for your growth, tissue repair, immune function, make it essential hormones and enzymes, energy when carbs are not available, but that's like last minute. We shouldn't be getting into that anyway, but it does happen. Preserving lean muscle mass, so protein's important, which is why protein's the first one, because it helps. It's the only thing that puts us into protein synthesis, and so which is the building of muscle. So protein is extremely important for the building of muscle. Carbs are literally just, I always think of carbs as like your brain source, your energy source instantly. Carbs are just your quick energy source. Carbs are important, guys. Use carbs to fuel your workouts, to fuel your performance. Don't be scared of carbs. And you don't want to move into ketosis. If you're ever going to go into a ketogenic diet, then I would recommend seeing a professional for it, because there's so many things within the ketogenic diet that we don't know about. Well, you guys don't know about, most likely. If you do know about it, awesome. Cool. Any questions in regards to your macronutrients? Also, we're going to give all this, we'll give the actual recording of the seminar, and we'll also give the homework to the seminar to you guys as well, so you guys will be able to watch this over if you like, and also get the slides if you guys want to look over the slides later. Cool, so these are some of the sources where you can get these macronutrients from. Fat comes from avocados, your oils, your nuts, peanut butter, flax seeds and seeds, stuff like that. As you can see, there is an overlay between some of the macronutrients. So stuff that have protein and fats would be your eggs, oily fish, your chia seeds, bacon, whole fat dairy, and Greek yogurt. I would generally stay away from dairy and gluten. I know this is a thing that's been going around for quite some time where it's like, oh, stay away from gluten and dairy. And you might not be having gut issues, or you might not even be noticed, you won't even be noticing it maybe because you've been having it for so long. But it does inflame the stomach. It inflames the intestines and the stomach as well. So it takes about 8 to 12 weeks for the gluten to actually leave the body. It will actually inflame your intestines for 8 to 12 weeks. So be mindful of that as well. Chicken and fish, lean meats, egg whites. So you can see protein, your egg whites and your eggs over here, because the yolk is actually high in fat. So if you're just having egg whites, it's purely in protein, which is why a lot of people do egg white omelets and stuff like that. Low fat stuff. And then your carbs, overlay, beans, lentils, legumes, quinoa, stuff like that. So as you can tell, in between here, the beans and lentils and legumes, that's why a lot of vegetarians and vegans will eat those foods, because it's an overlay of protein and carbs. But if you're vegetarian or vegan, highly recommend also seeing a nutritionist or seeing someone that will help you with a nutrition plan, because chances are you're probably really high in carbs. Super common for vegans and vegetarians to be really high in carbs. So be mindful of that. Carbs, sweet potato, rice, pumpkin, vegetables, fruit and berries, potato, oats, corn, whole grain bread. Fruit is a carb, guys. I get this all the time. It's like, I'm eating really healthy, but I'm gaining weight. And I'm like, oh, what are you eating? It's like, oh, I'm having 5 pieces of fruit a day. Do you know 1 banana is 25 grams of carbs, which is nearly the equivalent of a cup of rice, cooked rice. If you're having lots of fruit, you're going to be having a lot of carbs and a lot of sugar as well, so be mindful of that. Now, I'm going to be sending you guys this. In the past, I've taught everyone how to actually do the equations to figure out your calories and macronutrients. But I just created an Excel sheet, and I was like, I'll just give everyone an Excel sheet, and then you guys can just literally put in your weight. Simple as that. So there's a simple calculator here. What it'll look like, you see how it says edit red cells. You'll just put in your body weight and your activity level. We've got 5 different activity levels on the side here. Most of you guys are going to be at 26. chances are you might be training a little bit more and you might be at 31 or 38, but you've probably been under eating, you haven't been eating enough, and you put calories, like too many calories into your diet too quickly might affect your, you might gain weight, your metabolism isn't fast enough to break down that energy, if that makes sense. So most of you guys are going to be around the 26 marker. So all you do is I'll send this to you guys, do your homework to your email anyway. And all you have to do is put in your weight, your activity level, highly recommend doing 26. As you can tell, you've got your calories and your protein, your fats and carbs there, so already calculated for you, it's already done the whole equation for you. And then if you want to lose weight, go to your cutting calories. If you want to gain weight, go to your gaining calories. Then what I also have here is follow the above calories for 4 weeks. If you're not getting your desired result, then follow one of the below tips. And all you'll do is either increase your calories or decrease it by 15%. And then the equation will do it for you itself anyway, if that makes sense. So you're best off sticking to a certain caloric intake for about 4 weeks, minimum. I would say even longer if it's the first time you're actually tracking calories, because you want to see how the body adapts to it, whether it gains weight, loses weight, or maintains. If you stay to the same caloric intake for about 4 to 6 weeks and you're staying at the same weight, you haven't gained or lost, then chances are you're probably at a maintenance level. And then if you want to lose weight, drop the calories down. If it's not too low, if you want to gain weight, increase the calories. Make sense, everyone?
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's cool having it as a spreadsheet.
Oh, I'm onto the spreadsheets now. I'm a pro at spreadsheets. Really? All right. Put your hand up if you know what MyFitnessPal is. Highly recommend this. I've done this for a long time. Like 12 years now I've been coaching. I've done a lot of nutrition courses as well. I played around with using, which we'll discuss in a sec. I did precision nutrition course as well. And I've gone through all sorts of different methods of getting people to track their calories. MyFitnessPal. Like, you guys use MyFitnessPal, you guys got absolutely amazing results. You just need to track. Like, whatever we measure, we can manage. We don't measure it, we can't manage it. We have no awareness, we have no understanding. Like, I can't, like, promote this enough. Like, the tracking aspect of everything within your life. I know it seems a little bit daunting. A lot of people are like, oh, but I don't want to add then that extra time of tracking calories. It takes like 30 seconds per meal to do it. Once you get really good at it, it just takes no time at all. It becomes a habit. The idea is to create these habits. Habits, Kirsty. Create these habits around tracking. If you're tracking, you're measuring. If you're measuring, you can manage. If you don't measure, you can't manage. Can't say it enough. If someone comes to me and they go, I want to know what to do with my food, and I go, do you know what your calories are? And they go, no. And we're like, that's the first thing we've got to figure out. You can't do anything else until you know. If you don't have understanding, you don't have awareness, you're not tracking it, you can't measure it, you can't manage it, I can't help. And you can't help yourself. So MyFitnessPal, I'm going to put a little tutorial into your homework anyway, so you guys will see how to use it. Super simple. Download MyFitnessPal, sign up to it, chuck in your calories and macros into it, and then start tracking your food. The tutorial will help you in understanding how to track your calories and like how to use MyFitnessPal. But it's just like anything else. It takes time to get used to using something new. You guys will kick ass, you'll get used to it. Be patient, don't beat yourself up about it. Eventually you'll be a professional at it, and you guys will be sexy as shit. And that's what we want. We want some sexy peoples up in this world. All right, so another option we could do is using portion control. Now, I use this with MyFitnessPal, and I get my clients to do the same. So I get everyone to track their calories and macronutrients using MyFitnessPal, and then I get them to use this when they're out and about. Biggest thing that people say is, like, the excuse is like, oh, I'm always at my family's house, and they're always cooking food for me, so I don't know what I'm eating, so I just don't track. Or I'm going out to restaurants, so I don't track. Using this with MyFitnessPal, you can tell here 1 palm of protein, so meat or what have you, like meat, chicken and red meat and what have you, is going to be at 25 grams of protein. A cup handle carbs is 25 grams of carbs. Forgot to use the mic with me, I have to like. 1 thumb of fats is 10 grams of fat. So if you're out and about and you're at a family event or you're at a restaurant and you're looking at your food and you go, okay, well that's about 1 palm of meat, 2 pounds of meat. Even if you buy a steak, like the steak says it's 200 grams piece of steak. You know what I mean? Like you already have that knowledge. Just put that into MyFitnessPal. Put in the carbs as well, and just like if you're having rice on the side of some chips, you can just search some random chips on MyFitnessPal. You'll get used to it, but use your palm and use your hands as kind of like a guider. Eventually just get better at it. It's not so much about whether it's 100% accurate. It's not going to be 100% accurate. The trick is, just like if you step on your scale at home, your scales aren't accurate, guys. Like for sure your scales aren't accurate. However, using the same scales over and over again is going to be a tracking mechanism? Yes. I dropped out of school, guys, so. You laughed, but I did. I went to SWABU, so. Shit. It's a tracking mechanism. Oh, God. So to measure it, right? So you can see where you're moving forward. It's not about the accuracy, it's about the tracking, which would then eventually create accuracy within your tracking, if that makes sense to everyone, so track. And that is it. I'm done. Woo!
If you guys know me, you know how much I love training and gluten. It's literally like when we were organising who's going to talk about what, it was like, yeah, Nav, you got nutrition, Josh, accountability, me, training. Don't put me on nutrition because I'm just going to tell you what to eat gluten. So 305 kilos. So yeah. Yeah, so training. Nav's talked about nutrition. The other part of the spectrum is our training. So if we're not getting our training in along with our nutrition, how are we going to hit our goals, yeah? So essentially training is the stimulus for our body to actually grow and actually make improvements. So when we train, we really want our training to reflect our goals. So there's no point in us doing like hours and hours on cardio and everything like that if our goal is to improve our body composition. If we want to do cardio, if we want to do hours of cardio, that's fine. Like Graham, if you want to ride your bike, that's what you like doing, that's good, that's awesome. But if we just want to look good, if we just want to look sexy, there's no point us spending hours and hours like on the treadmill doing that kind of stuff. There's much better ways we can go about our training, much better ways we can spend our time doing it, yeah? So, just going to go through a few little training myths. There's so many more than just these 4 here, but just for the interest of time, we'll just go through these 4 here. First one, targeted fat loss. Like, it's such a common thing. You see so many infomercials and stuff like, get this ab coaster thing, like, do these ab exercises, you're going to lose all this fat here, but it's just not true. I live with Will and Kirsty there, and as well as Zoe, and we have a conversation the other day with Zoe, Will's girlfriend, about this topic, about like where you lose your fat. And everyone's different in terms of where they store their fat and where they last lose their fat as well. Like everyone has their stubborn bits of fat. You've got things like people have like apple body shapes where they store more fat around their stomach, and that's the last place that it goes. And then other people have like a pear shape where like it's all around their bum, their hips and their thighs and everything like that. So at the end of the day, like there's no such thing as targeted fat loss. You can spend hours doing some kind of sit-up or anything, but it's not going to get you abs unless you're in a calorie deficit and you're training properly as well. Next one, too many high reps. So you see these things where people are like, yeah, you need to do like 20 reps for toning and everything like that. There's definitely a time and a place to do that kind of stuff, but when you're doing these high reps, you don't have enough weight to actually stimulate muscle activation, muscle growth. So when we do these kind of things, like say we're doing like, I don't know, we can do these things in like HIIT circuits in cardio and stuff like that, but it's just not going to produce the results we want if we're just spending all our time doing 20 reps trying to get toned and everything like that. Too much cardio, same as what I said before. There's much better ways we can go about our training instead of just spending hours doing cardio. So like, same as what Nav was saying before in terms of the skinny fat kind of thing. So when we're doing too much cardio, when we're in too much of a calorie deficit, our body just goes into a catabolic state, so a muscle breakdown state. And that's what we don't want if we want to achieve our goals in terms of body composition. And then the last one, lifting weights makes women bulky. It's just not true. Like, it takes so much effort to build muscle and build size that it's not just going to happen. You're not going to just look or touch your weight and you're not going to get massive. Like, it just does not happen. Like, if that was the case, all of us guys here would be just even more jacked than we already are. Like, it's ridiculous. So it's kind of like, you think of the analogy like I like to use is that people aren't afraid to drive their car because they think they'll become like an F1 driver. Like, there's so much more that goes into it besides just driving. They've got to do the training, they've got to like do all this other stuff, and you've got to have like the genetics for it as well. Like, simply put, females don't have enough testosterone to build that level of muscle. It's just as simple as that. So how should we train? Don't spend hours doing cardio, like unless you want to. That's fine. That's all good. That's cool. Like, if that's your sport, if that's what you do, like that's cool. Like, no dramas with that. But if we're training just to look sexy, just have an awesome rig, then we need to actually train how we need to train for that. So instead, we need to be doing some kind of resistance training, some kind of strength training, as well as some kind of HIIT as well. As simple as that. Like you see people that start doing this strength training and they just get awesome results straight away. Like not straight away, but after a short amount of time, their body composition changes, they build muscle, they lose fat, they start feeling so much better about themselves. And they're just spending their time in a better place as well. Instead of like, oh, I've got to go do like my hour of cardio. It's like, no, I've got to go do like half an hour of weights training. I love it so much. Like it's, yeah, cool. Resistance training, let's have a look. So it's essential for that toned look. So when people say, oh yeah, I want to be toned, I want to have this, essentially what we're looking for is to have a layer of muscle. We want some muscle underneath with a low body fat as well. Not a ridiculously low level of body fat, but enough of a low body fat that we can actually see that muscle. It doesn't come down to just being skinny. It actually comes down to having some definition and having some shape and everything like that. So that's what that tone comes down to. And how we build that muscle is through resistance training. It doesn't come from doing like endless hours of cardio. It doesn't come from just doing body weight stuff. We need to be actually lifting some weights to actually cause some stimulus, cause some growth through that muscle. It also boosts our metabolism. So everyone talks about like, oh yeah, I want to like boost my metabolism. Resistance training is the way to go about doing that. There's essentially two different methods that it does that. The first one is through increases in muscle. So the more muscle we have, the more calories we burn, the higher our metabolism is. So it just takes more energy for us to maintain our muscle than it does for our fat. And then the second one is what's called excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. I'll just call it EPOC because it's much easier. Essentially all that is that when we train, when we do some intense kind of training, we get into like an oxygen deficit in our body, and then over the course of like a day or two after our training, our body has to recover that oxygen debt. And in turn, because of that, we're burning more calories. So that's essentially all that is, yeah? Strong and empowering. Oh man, like how cool would it be if you can go out there and lift some heavy weights? Like I've got clients like chicks that are like lifting some cool weights and they're like, I've never felt better in my life. Like their mindset and like not even with training, just sitting outside of training as well, like just being able to see that progress that they're making with their training just helps in all aspects of their life, not just training. And it's empowering as well. Like how cool is it like to be able to lift that stuff? Like I train my mum and she's a small lady, but she does some deadlifts and stuff, and she's like, yeah, I can carry all my groceries and stuff because I can deadlift. And I'm like, that's so cool. Like, and she's like lifting her body weight for reps. Like, it's amazing. And it also helps with things like just like osteoporosis and all that kind of stuff. Like building muscle helps with that. Doing resistance training helps with that. So there's so many more benefits to it than just this here. But in terms of body composition, these are like the main kind of things here. So in terms of what we want to do for resistance training, we really want to focus on lower, not necessarily lower reps, not necessarily like anything under 5 reps. If you want to do that, you can, but anything between like 5 to 10, 5 to 12 reps is going to be awesome for resistance training. And having actual like a heavy weight that actually is intense for our body, not that we can just go, oh yeah, no worries, like I'm just doing my cardio, doing my stuff, like just having a conversation. Like we actually want to be working hard and like actually like feeling something from the training. And then like also look at like the exercises we're doing as well. So you'd be much better off in terms of time and energy spent doing compound exercises. So doing hip thrusts, doing squats, doing deadlifts over things like doing bicep curls. Like you're just going to burn so much more energy. You're actually going to create so much more muscle from doing those things. There's definitely a time and a place for those smaller isolation exercises, but the majority of our training should be made up with those compound moves. Cool, so next one, like I said, resistance training is where you're building that muscle. HIIT is where you're revealing that muscle, burning that fat, getting sexy. It works hand in hand with resistance training. So like you don't need to do hours and hours of HIIT. Like it's meant to be short, it's meant to be intense. So that's what the first part is. High intensity, obviously we need to be working hard with it. Not in the fact that we're like just wrecking ourselves, but we want to be working hard that we're breathing heavy afterwards. We're not like crumpled in a mess on the floor, but we actually know that we've done something. Like we don't want to be like just chilling out afterwards. Same again, we don't want to be just having a conversation with someone. Like, I don't know if any of you have done like Courtney's classes, like Courtney's HIIT classes. Like, I haven't done them, but I see the people afterwards and they've done a good workout. So that's where you want to be like. And then you also have some rest. So that's where the interval part comes into it. It's bouts of high intensity work and lower intensity rest as well. So there's different like rest times and stuff like that. It just depends what kind of movements and what kind of exercise you're doing. So I'm not going to go into it because I could spend hours going into it, but it really just depends on the movements you're doing. And then yeah, it's simply put what to do. It's just high levels of exercise with some rest in between there. Yeah. Cool. So it's all well and good doing this training, doing our resistance training, doing our HIIT, but how do we actually know that we're progressing if we're not, like if we just do it, like we don't know? So what do we need to do? We need to have a plan to actually make progress. So when it comes to training, the term we use for planning is called programming, sorry. And essentially what programming is just having a plan for your training and having it set up that, okay, I'm doing this day, this next day, and then it also allows you to progress week to week as well. Because it's all well and good just doing the same thing each week, but we're not providing the body any stimulus to actually improve. If we're doing the same thing every week, the body's like, okay, cool, I'm comfortable doing this, I don't need a change. I can just stay the way I am. I'm not going to build muscle, I'm not going to lose fat. What we need to do instead is we need to change something week to week to actually elicit some kind of response from the body. So whether that's muscle gain, whether that's fat loss, we need to actually be tracking that to make sure that we're actually in that state. So here we've got an example of a little program. This one is like, if you're a member of the gym, you get this with your online results course thing. This is just essentially how we set up a training program. So we've got up the top there, we've got our compound moves, we've got our back squat, we've got our lat pull down, and then we move into a few little other exercises there. But those first 4 or 5 exercises are really our resistance training. That's really where we're building that muscle and really working hard. And then we have a few little exercises down the bottom, which is our kind of HIIT movements, our more intense kind of short, sharp, just get it done quickly, really work hard, and then have a bit of rest in between there. And then you can see we've got our sets, we've got our reps. So this is a bit of a higher rep kind of training based off of our rep ranges that we used before. So this one is going up into that 10, 12 range, but that's still good. Like if you're still working at that range, you can still have a decent amount of weight that you actually stimulate some muscle growth from that. And then same again, we've got rest times as well. So you definitely need some rest in between your weights. If you're using a heavy enough weight, you will need some rest in between. You can't just do a set, rest 5-10 seconds and then go again. It's just not possible. If you can do that, you're not using enough weight. Cool, so with programming, there's also a term called progressive overload. So essentially what progressive overload is what I was saying before in terms of doing something more each week, not necessarily something different. We don't want to change everything about our training. We still want to keep our training relatively similar, but just make small changes over time just to elicit some more growth, some more response from the body. So this picture here, it's the story of Milo of Croton. So has anyone heard of that story? Yeah, I see a few nods. Essentially what it is, he was a Greek wrestler back in the day. The picture on the left there, he's got a young calf, and essentially as that calf grew up, he continued to carry that calf on his shoulder. So as the calf grew, he grew in his strength as well. So that's essentially what we're looking for with progressive overload is doing something over time even more intense. So in terms of training, it can be something like increasing the weight over time, like each week, just adding 2.5 or 5 kilos to our exercises. It could be something as simple as like adding an extra set or adding an extra couple of weights, but a couple of reps, but keeping the weight the same, because we're still doing more work, but we're doing like without increasing the weight. So there's heaps of different ways you can go about doing it, but the most simple one is just changing the weight, increasing the weight over time. Obviously, if it's too heavy, then you don't need to change the weight because you're working at a point where your body is still having to work hard to do that. So don't make progress just for the sake of progress. Like if you're feeling it, then that's good. Like you don't need to make too much changes from that. All right, that's it. There you go. I thought there was more, but that's it. Cool.
As well. Because I'm super enthusiastic, just like you guys, right? Yeah! All right, here we go. So, secrets to success. The reason I'm finishing off with the secrets to success is because everybody wants to know, what are the secrets to success? As you guys know, Nav and I are in business. We're all about, we want to win life and stuff. And every business coach is like, here's the secrets to business, making millions of dollars. In the fitness industry, it's like, here's the secrets to losing targeted belly fat. Here's the secrets to building the body of your dreams. But the reality is, there is no secrets. But we put a slide in there because people are like, oh, secrets. I'm listening. So we just do that to get your attention, and then we color code it. The success is in orange, which is a bright and vibrant color, which insinuates growth as well. Anyway. So, let's recap. Training is a stimulus, right? Can someone tell me what a stimulus is? What do I mean by stimulus? Oh yeah, it wakes you up. I'm looking for a different word. What's a stimulus? Throw words at me, guys. I love enthusiasm and engagement. A trigger. Perfect. Training is a trigger, right? So it's like a permission slip. By training, it's saying I give myself permission for my body to respond in a certain way. We do strength training, it's I give my body permission to become stronger. When I lose weight, it's like I give my body permission to lose weight. I give my body permission to respond positively as a result of the trigger. The training is the trigger, it is the stimulus, it is the spark to a flame, to a fight, right? It is the spark, it is what ignites the goal, okay? But that's really all it is, okay? Because who here has trained and 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 not seen the results that they were hoping for? Show of hands, please. Nice and high, nice and high. There we go. All right, enthusiasm, guys, that's right. So we know that there's some sort of, there's more to it, right? There's the trifecta, there's the cycle, there's the thing, there's the holistic approach, there's more to it, right? We know that because most of us have just done the one thing and then not experienced the result because we realize there's more to it, right? So, we've talked about nutrition and food, right? So nutrition is the fuel to the fight, right? Training is the spark, nutrition is the fuel. I said this to one of the girls last night when I was dishing out the meal plans at midnight last night for the 28-day challenge. And I gave her a calorie target, and she's like, oh shit, well here we go. She's like, oh fine, you're the boss, but she was concerned about it, and I said this, I was like, a fire cannot burn the wood if it's not already burning. So your metabolism is like fire, right? And I'm more putting this towards the females because our culture has conditioned you guys to believe that by eating less you'll lose weight. Yes, that is partially true, but there's more to it, right? So your metabolism is like a fire. And if you don't fuel that fire, the fire does not have the ability to burn more fuel. Does that make sense? So there is a minimum standard, there is a minimum requirement in order for the fire to be on and to be lit up, and then you can fuel it, okay? So it kind of messes with our psychology a bit, and I do want to kind of clear that up. But the fundamental understanding is that there needs to be a minimum standard of fuel going into the fire, a minimum standard of fuel going into your body, because you are going to be training, you are going to be exercising, your brain needs to run off something other than coffee, right? Needs to run off something other than coffee. And we need to make sure that the body has the ability to recover as well, okay? So this is the things that we're going to drive home today as well, right? So the nutrition is the fuel to the fight. So this is the cycle we have. We have training equals nutrition, training feeds nutrition, nutrition feeds training, training feeds nutrition, nutrition feeds training, right? It is that ever-ending cycle, right? And it's going from one to the other, to one to the other, to one to the other, to one to the other. And going through that cycle is what creates momentum, okay? Like the wheels on a car. The wheel has to turn. All the wheel has to do is turn, and then it just has to keep turning, and that's how it moves forward, okay? Nothing changes, it just keeps turning and turning and turning and turning and turning and turning, right? So it's a simple understanding of making sure that we acknowledge our nutrition, and then we acknowledge our training, and then we acknowledge our nutrition, and then Monday, nutrition training, Tuesday, nutrition training, Wednesday, nutrition training. I shouldn't get too close to the speakers. Does that make sense? Right? Simple fundamentals. So, let me introduce the basic understanding of sleep. The secret to success, right? One of the many secrets, or one of the non-secrets, right? So sleep for dummies, right? There's a fancy diagram here. What I want you to understand is there are 4 circles. 4 circles, each representing a stage of sleep. Now, some people might say, depending if you've got a Fitbit or you've got the Apple Watch or whatever, we have 5 stages of sleep, we have 4 stages of sleep. Let's just roll with 4 stages, okay? You have stage 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay? Stage 1, 2, 3, and 4. In the middle, there's a number that says 90 to 120 minutes. So our sleep cycle means when we go to sleep, we go from stage 1 all the way to stage 1 again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. Depending on the individual, it'll take you roughly 90 to 120 minutes to go through a complete cycle. Okay? A complete cycle. So stage 1 is when we wake up like this. This is what stage 1 is. So stage 1 is your lightest stage of sleep. So going back to the diagram, the higher the number, the deeper the stage of the sleep is. So stage 1, you're nice and you're in a really light sleep. That's when you just start to drift off. It's that kind of moment where you start to kind of dull your surroundings. You know what I mean? You start to dull your surroundings. But then if someone just walks into the room, you back up and you're, oh sorry, or you might be in a seminar and then just start to drift off because the guy's boring as fuck. Right? And oh shit, he asked me a question. I'm like, yes, 7, yes, that's right. And that's when you're at a stage 1, you've just drifted off, right? But when someone it's like midnight or something, you sneak into the house because you don't wake your parents up. Hopefully parents are in stage 4, right? So, because you're going to be wasted and you're going to trip and your undies going to get caught in the window and you're going to fall in and rip your undies and you're going to laugh and the person you're sneaking in is also going to laugh and the dog's going to bark. But mum and dad are in stage 4 sleep, so that's okay, right? So when you wake up in stage 4 though, this is what it looks like. This is stage 4, right? So who has slept like 3-4 hours, right? And still woken up like this lady here. Yeah, cool. Who's woken up, who's slept almost no hours and woken up kind of fine? Anyone had that experience? Yeah? And then who here has slept like 12, 14 hours, 10 hours, 9 hours and woken up like this guy, right? It's not about the duration, it's about what stage of sleep that you fall into or you wake up into, right? Now, why are these important to know? What is so fascinating about stage 1, 2, 3, and 4? I'll explain. The important stuff all happens in stage 3 and stage 4. The important stuff happens in stage 3 and stage 4. Things like hormone regulation, metabolism, recovery, immune system, all this kind of stuff. Your body has these fundamental processes that it needs to run. Just like at the end of this seminar, right, we've got to clean the space up, because if we don't, there's going to be shit everywhere. Courtney can't run her class, Kirsty can't run her class, members can't train, because we haven't cleaned the fucking gym up, right? Pardon my language. We haven't cleaned the gym up. You've got to do these things. You've got to service your car all the time. Everything in life has these fundamental processes that need to happen to make sure that we can grow as human beings, that we can keep moving forward, that we can sustain our days, and we can live healthy, happy lives, right? These fundamental processes need to occur. These all happen in stage 3 and stage 4. Your brain files away all of your memories for the day, everything that you've learned, everything that you've studied, right? Anyone who's been at uni or going to school and then high school, not Nav, because Nav dropped out, where he is. When you don't have a decent sleep, everything you study for that day, you might not be able to recall because you haven't given your body the opportunity to file that away, right? When we wake up stiff and sore from training, our body runs these recovery processes to repair the muscles and to get the body back into where it needs to be, right? So you've done a hard day at work, right? You might be sore shoulders, you might be out in the sun, all this kind of stuff, sunburn, all this, whatever shit happens, right? Is it chippy, right? Roof chippy, right? Yeah, he's got a sock tan line. So your body is always mending itself, and it needs to happen overnight, right? It needs to happen because when your body shuts off, you're not spending energy doing stuff. You're not spending energy drinking coffee. You're not spending energy watching Netflix or whatever you guys want to do, right? Once your body switches off, your body's like, sweet, now I can do what's actually important. And what's actually important is to make sure it's regulating its metabolism so the following day, your metabolism is running on a head start. It functions the next day. Because if you don't, you have these two hormones called ghrelin and leptin, and they're all about regulating your metabolism and your appetite. And if you don't sleep enough, or if you don't get a quality sleep where you dip into stage 3 and stage 4, your body doesn't run these systems properly, and then your metabolism isn't functioning the next day. So it doesn't matter how good your nutrition plan is, it doesn't matter how fancy your training program is, because if your sleep is trash, so is your next day going to be. And if your next day is going to be trash, then every result is going to be trash. You know what I mean? It's like doing anything with a shit attitude. Oh, I don't want to mop this floor. Can't be fun. And then the floor doesn't even get mopped because it's still dirty. And I was like that in my apprenticeship. I'm like, I fucking hate diesel mechanics. But then I was like, I'm going to be the best fucking mopper there is. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, this is sick. And then like 10 minutes pass, I'm like, man, there's smoke already. And I'm like, you're having fun. If you bring a good attitude into your thing, it's going to work. So your sleep allows your body to have a good attitude when it steps in the day. Does that make sense? I'm really spending a lot of time on this slide because this is probably one of the most important slides in this entire seminar that we're delivering today. Your sleep is fundamentally important, right? Bonnie, how much better do you feel? She knew. I gave her the look. Bonnie, how much better do you feel after you've improved your sleep? Yeah. So, brain stuff, stress regulation, all that kind of stuff. If you guys, anyone's in the 28-day challenge, I was up till 12:30 last night getting the meal plans done for you guys, and I woke up with a high heart rate. I woke up knowing, because I just scan my body when I wake up in the morning, and I ask myself how do I feel, and I track my dreams and all that kind of stuff. So there's this stuff in the morning where I just reflect on myself. And I woke up on a high heart rate because I normally run on 8 hours sleep, and I had like 5.5 hours sleep because I just got up at 6 o'clock and jumped in a cold shower again. And I was in the cold shower, and the cold shower was twice as hard just because the sleep was much. I cold shower every single morning, by the way. And when I do a good sleep, it's piss easy. It doesn't matter if it's winter, it's piss easy. For me anyway, because I've been doing it for a while. But this morning I'm sitting there like, oh, Josh, you've done it again. You've done it again. And I'm like, oh, God, Jesus. Oh. You know, I'm getting 8 hours sleep tonight. I probably won't because I'm going out tonight. But the important thing is making sure that you spend majority of your life endeavouring for quality sleep. Quality. So, this cycle now becomes sleep, training, nutrition. So Monday into Tuesday into Wednesday into Thursday into Friday becomes training, sleep, nutrition, training, sleep, nutrition, training, sleep, nutrition. Does that make sense? It's that cycle that allows us to roll, okay? So this is the wheels of life, the literal wheels of life. The wheel that rotates that allows us to progress through life is the training, sleep, nutrition cycle. So how do we tie it all together? How do we tie training, sleep, and nutrition together? I can't remember my next slide. Is it this one? Who's met this guy? Let's name him Josh. For no reason in particular. Because he never finishes. Only in bed. So this is Josh, right? Let's name this guy Josh. This was me, oh God, I gotta get a cold shower, oh shit, right? Thinks it's pretty cool. Josh thinks it's pretty flash. And Josh says, let's do a running race. I'm going to win this running race. And he's going to go off the mark. I'm going to sprint. Let's say, go. And I'm like, fucking killing. I am so far ahead right now. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a breather because I am way ahead, right? Meanwhile, let's call this guy Navar. Navar comes through, just doing his thing. And then all of a sudden he crosses the finish line because I'm too busy napping. Because I passed out. Because I went too hard too early. The nap just comes in and blitzes me. Blitzes Josh. This is the story of the tortoise and the hare. Right? What is the moral of the story of the tortoise and hare? Can anyone give me some input, please?
Slow and steady wins the race.
Thank you, Will I Am. Yes. Slow and steady wins the race. And if we just summarize that into one simple word, please be the right slide.
Consistency.
Yes. Right, consistency. So think about it like this. Who here has been to the dentist? Right? Would you be better off? How do I do this? So hands up means yes. No hands mean... Two hands mean yes. One hand means no. Okay? Would we be better off not going to the dentist but brushing our teeth 365 days of the year? Or would we be better off? Anyway, I'll read that one. I'll just finish the question. Right? Would we be better off, right, not going to the dentist, but then, not brushing our teeth? Would we be better off not brushing our teeth and then going to the dentist twice a year? But when we go to the dentist, we get the clean and glean, you know, the shabazz, the flash, the full body, everything, the universal clean, right? Would we be better off? Let's go 2 hands for brushing teeth 365 days a year. Would we be better off with that? Or let's go 1 hand if we would be better off with not brushing our teeth and going to the dentist twice a year. 1 hand for that. Okay. Noted, I did fucking, pardon my language, I did screw the whole thing up. But the reality is, if we were to brush our teeth every single day of the year, we can sustain our teeth being clean and we probably don't need to get the clean at the dentist, right? But if we didn't brush our teeth at all, we cannot rely on the dentist just to do 2 installments.
Yeah.
Same as like, can you water a plant maybe twice a year and hopefully it grows? Right? The point is consistency matters, guys. Consistency will trump any dentist world-class clean, right? That's what the point is. Consistency means the tortoise, Sloan City wins the race, right? Alright, I spent too long on this slide. I'm glad you guys are engaged though. Consistency will trump any world-class program. So how do we move forward on the cycle of life, the wheel analogy of training, sleep, nutrition, right? We're going on a journey now. Cycle of life, the wheels, we're going to plug them into the car and we're going to go for a drive. So let's just say we want to go to Gainesville, right? Gainesville might mean let's get ooch, or let's get sexy, or whatever it is, get a sick rig, like Carl said. Whatever it is, that is the target destination. We all have a target destination. So, if we're going to jump on the cycle of life and go on a journey, we need to actually set the destination. Otherwise, we're just moving forward and we're just going into, we're going through the motions for the gym for the sake of the gym. We're eating for the sake of eating, right? We're lemon detoxing for the sake of lemon detoxing. We're sleeping for the sake of sleeping, right? And unless we have a direction of where we're going, there's no way to hold ourselves accountable. There's no way to know when we should turn left, when we should turn right. There's no way to tell whether we should make adjustments. And if we end up somewhere and be like, why am I even here? What did I do to get me here? If you haven't been setting a target, you don't even know why you're there in the first place, but then there's no way for you to actually understand how you got there. You need to set yourself a direction, because otherwise we just wander. That's our human nature, is just to wander. So if we don't give ourselves a direction, we're going to be moving regardless. We're going to be doing stuff regardless. But without the direction, without setting the target, we will not get to where we want to go. Okay, so the very, very first thing that you need to do, once you understand that consistency is so important, is set the target to be consistent in that direction. Because, hey, we can be consistent at eating McDonald's, right? We can be consistent at drinking. Oh yeah, 10-week streak, we're getting wasted, you know? Consistency in anything can have positive or negative results. What results you yield are determined by the destination that you set. Does that make sense? Yes or no?
Yes.
Cool. Next, oh, it was the wrong way. Wait, oh shit. Setting the target. The next thing is your target, your goal must be meaningful. It's got to mean something from here. You don't want to hit all of my things. Okay? People have family. I'm doing it for my kids. Or I want to get my dad healthy because I want to see him for another year. Or I want to get into business because I don't want to work for someone. I don't want to have to deal with shit. I don't want to be a teaser mechanic, right? So it must mean something. One of the reasons I work so hard is because I don't want to go bankrupt. I'm still learning. So you've got to find a reason that's deep in here, because there are times when it gets tough. People have kids, right? Kids are great, and then all of a sudden some days you're like, why did I do this? But you realise that you love them, right? Some days. There's always going to be time in the journey when it gets tough. That's the reality of life. So if it's not meaningful, it's connecting to that deepest meaning will allow you to continually grow and learn and persevere through the tough times. It'll allow you to get through the muddy waters. Next thing is, it must be achievable. So don't set yourself a ridiculous target, because otherwise you're then setting yourself up for failure. You know what I mean? I'm going to tour around Australia with one fuel tank of fuel, right? It's not going to get you there, right? So give yourself an achievable goal to set, an achievable destination, so that it works for you. And if that means looking at your overall goal, and then identifying the milestones within that, and then shoot for the short-term milestones. There's a term called pick to the stick. Back in who knows when, in a place of who knows where, there were these people that were picking cotton in the cotton fields. It was a family. And they had miles and miles and miles and miles to pick. And they were just they were demoralized by the idea of having to pick for hours and hours and hours and miles and miles and miles. And we're going to do this forever. Then one of the families said, how about this? Picks a stick up. Pick to the stick. And that's their short-term milestone. Now, sweet, pick to the stick. Got to the stick. Let's have a breather. That's us. Throw again. Pick to the stick. I love this microphone. Oh shit, hit a cat. Okay. Pick to the stick, right? Short-term milestones. So if you have a goal that is unrealistic for now, or it's quite a stretch, then pick to the stick, right? Must be achievable. It also must be linear. My brain hates this because I'm a left and right. You can see how much I've crossed this stage already. But it must be linear. So that means when you identify your stick landing spots, you don't go from here to here to here and here. You make things linear so that they work for each other. Line up your dominoes, because you put a domino here, you put a domino here, you put a domino here, you put a domino here. Like, ready? Watch this, guys. And then nothing happens, right? I can't do the really quickly to make the sound for lots of dominoes, but you get the point. If you line them all up, things just work, okay? Next thing, it must be broken down. It must be broken down because accountability is key. So for example, I want to lose 20 kilos. I'm going to put in 3 months. I want to lose 20 kilos in 3 months. That equals 12 weeks, okay? So if you divide 20 kilos into 12 weeks, that equals 600 grams a week. Then you set your target. It's like, oh, I've done my 600 grams for the week, sweet. Because you break it down, you pick to the stick. Does that make sense? Yes. 0.6 kilos. That's pretty easy. 20 kilos in 12 weeks. Looks a lot easier than, oh, I want to lose 20 kilos. But you set the destination, you make it achievable, you make it linear, 600 grams a week, and you track that. Easy? Simple. Tools. What are some tools on how do we make this happen? What's going to support us on this journey? It's like getting in the car and setting up the nav system, your Bluetooth for your music, like, yeah, it's a good drive now. What are the tools that are going to assist you on that journey, right? Number one, I think there's 3 things on this slide. There is top 3 things: habits, visualization, and goal navigation, okay? Habits are crucial because habits are your daily milestones. Habits are like those fundamental processes I mentioned that your body runs during your sleep. They are habitual. Habits are habits because they're things that you do over and over and over again that end up becoming subconscious, they become automatic, they just happen. Using my cold showers examples, cold showers, they suck, don't get me wrong, they suck. But I can still do it in autopilot because I've been doing it for so long, because it's added to my life so much, it's just a thing for me. So for you guys who go, oh, cold showers might be thing. When I started, cold showers would be like, oh, you know what? But now I wake up and they're just part of it, because my body and my mind has habitualized it to make it effortless. And then I think that's why we call habit stacking. Is that what it is? Once you habitualize a habit, then you build the next one. And then you habitualize that and build the next one. You know, walking becomes running, and running's like second nature to us now, for most of us. But we started with walking, and once walking just became easy and effortless, you built on that. So habits are crucial. Habits are one of the most important things. Secrets to success. That's an example of a poster that I made about leadership, because I visualize about being a good leader in my life, my coach, and in the business and stuff like that. So I recite that every single day. But in your case, it might be more of, your goal, or, you don't have to necessarily visualize just a poster of dot points of leadership. You can visualize your future. You can visualize where you want to be. Who here's heard of law of attraction? Who's into manifestation? Yeah, there we go, nice hands, best. It's all the same kind of stuff. However we choose to label it, it's the same fundamental. Visualization is looking at the goal. There's actually a concept in sport, I actually think it's called visualization. But if you're like a footy player and you're going to go for a big old kick, if you physically cannot see in your mind you nailing that kick, so if you just can't say, or if you're like throwing, you're doing your beer pong or whatever, throwing it, if you genuinely believe that you can't do it, unless there's a gust of wind and you magically, it gets it in, if you cannot actually visualize it, don't know how they managed to prove it, if you can't visualize in your head, it just never happens. If you can't see yourself doing it, you're leaving it up to luck and to, I forgot the word. Chance, that's the one. I was like, choice? Yeah. You're leaving it up to chance. And the last one is goal navigation. So when we set ourselves goals, when we set ourselves a target, we set ourselves weekly, monthly, daily milestones. We need to put in a moment of, because remember we wander all the time, some more than others, me, I'm guilty of it the most. We need to put in, schedule in a time to say, I'm just going to double check where I'm at. It's like the general of the war is always double checking the battlefield every day before there's a battle. It's like when you're a guy that navigates ships and you read the map all the time. You do it on a regular basis, right, to make sure that you can adjust whenever you need to. So this is an example of on my calendar, I just put a little put an hour in every single week just to revise my goals. Am I on track? Do I need to adjust? Has my attitude changed? Have I learned new things? And you just adjust weekly, 60 minutes a week. It's not that hard. Next thing is accountability partner or a coach or both. Okay? Accountability is one of the most powerful tools known to man and women and non-gender specific. Well. So this is an example again of my calendar. This is my every Monday morning. This is a recent snapshot of my calendar. Every morning, 7:30 to 8:30, my clients all have a reminder on Facebook Messenger chat, and they screenshot their HabitShare app, which is the one on the left here, which is the tracking app. They screenshot that and then send it to me. Sometimes I don't even read it. I mean, I do read it, Jake. I do read them, but I might not get to the message till the end of the day. But them knowing that they have to check in with me every week, showing me their habits, allows them, and it neurologically, it subconsciously empowers them to be a little bit more rigid and a little bit more consistent, knowing that there's a deadline for things. You know, when there's deadlines for things, we get shit done because there's deadlines. So I have this accountability system with all my clients where they screenshot their habits, send it to me on Monday, and they send me a voice message or a text message, and they just tell me how their week went, and then they tell me what their plan is for this week. Just a couple dot points, a couple of things. Guys, in the 28-day challenge, there's also going to be a Monday check-in as well. Same thing, screenshot HabitShare, go straight into, but you're going to do into the Facebook group, and then you're going to tell us about your week. How was your week? What went? And it forces you to reflect on your week as well and identify. And that accountability makes you accountable and responsible for your week and your life. Then on top of that, we have our SMA team meeting. Again, we screenshot our habits and then send them to the group chat. And then every Monday morning, if you guys watch our Instagram stories, we have a whole meeting where we go one by one and we share our week. We discuss our wins, our learns, and our stretches, and we discuss our habits, and then we give feedback. And that's our group accountability to make sure that we're progressing in our personal lives and our professional lives. So having a little accountability circle is so amazing. It doesn't have to be a circle, it can just be a partner, it could be a friend, it can be a parent, it can be your dog if you have that good relationship with your dog, right? You need someone to exist, right? Because it works with our psychology in a positive way. And the last one, on top of that, then after the meeting, then I have 2 more business accountability calls, and both more around, these 2 guys are both over east, but these just guys I've met in business, and we call each other and we just discuss. I'm like, how you doing, bro? How you doing, bro? How am I doing? Yeah, sweet, cool. Any struggles? Yep, no, yep. And we bounce back and forth and say, cool, what are your targets? What are my targets? Sweet, meet you in 7 days. And then I hang the phone up and the next guy calls me, same thing again, right? But I'm bringing these people into my life to hold me accountable, because sometimes I get lazy. Sometimes I just can't be fucked. But then when I can't be fucked, these guys are like, hey, bruh, pull your finger out. And there'll be a time when they're lacking, and I'm like, bro, remember that time you made me pull my finger out? You pull yours out now too. I don't know where it is, but pull it out. right? And tracking spreadsheets. This is my personal accountability spreadsheet. This is an actual extract of my training program. It doesn't have to be as fancy as this. I'm making it this because I'm curious about it. But you can make a spreadsheet for yourself. You just need something where you log it and then you can check it, right? So if you have your own spreadsheet, for some reason you have no friends and you don't have the time or whatever it is that you can't have anyone to hold you accountable, you hold yourself accountable by putting the hour in your week to revise your goals. Every time you train or whatever it is you're tracking, you log it, and then you make logging into your spreadsheet a habit, however you do it. You can put a system in place to hold yourself accountable. It's just up to you to do it, right? And this all ties in with consistency. Thank you very much. That's so guys, we're going to step into Bon Jovi, Live No. I'm going to do a karaoke joke on one of the songs. So we're going to step into Q&A now, guys. And I would love you all to ask as many questions as you want. I would love you guys to ask us very specific questions as well about your goals, your issues, your hurdles, your struggles, anything you're curious about, anything. We've got time to do it. We actually blitzed our seminar, smashed through it. I might have talked a bit too long, but that's Josh. Go for it. Questions, guys.
Well, I'm doing a lot of the things you talk about and get some fantastic results over
Awesome.
Quite some time. I've noticed that what I do, I've decided to call it nervous energy. It's such fucking fun. I can't stop doing all the stuff I'm doing. Then I perhaps might not sleep well or notice that I'm hyper in the morning. I don't, oh sorry.
Here we go.
Yeah, I'm so much enjoying, the benefits of all of the training and everything I'm doing, that I'm noticing I'm getting this nervous energy that I'll get too hyped up and it follows me into sleep and in the morning. And that's kind of stuff. I don't know if people experience that, but yeah. So maybe I might have done a massive bike ride and the next day I'll be chilled out because you've done your thing. But following all these things is fun. But I end up, as I say, finding that my mind's doing 1,000 k's an hour.
Sure.
And it's a little bit difficult to turn that off sometimes.
Yeah, I'll give some feedback on that as well. So this is a fantastic example. If you guys didn't hear it, Graham was just sharing how he gets this nervous energy, and there's times where he follows the things that we've talked about, the consistency and the habits and all this kind of stuff, and that makes him really driven and motivated, but sometimes that carries so much momentum that it's actually affecting his chill time. Is that correct? And it actually overflows into your downtime, and now we consider him overstimulated, right? In some instances, yeah. So this is a fantastic example of why it's so important to track regularly and follow our habits regularly and reflect regularly, because now he's had some fantastic momentum moving forward. But then is at a point where he's like, now something's different, something's changed, right? But doing that allows you to adjust accordingly. So my recommendation, Graham, for adjusting accordingly is to let's introduce a new habit or some new structure around being relaxed. Rich coming from me, isn't it? Because I'm never relaxed. But around having more time to either self-reflect or having more time to keep yourself stimulated another way. But adjusting accordingly is because we're just doing, what we've got going is we're either doing too much of one thing or we're doing some things at maybe an unideal time as well, and it's carrying that momentum. So now and I'm happy to bounce back and forth with you if you guys have some feedback as well on what would be good, but I'll be suggesting Graham to actually have a look at his actual schedule and saying, am I doing too many things that make me alert, too many things that make me invigorated, and then start to introduce and then rebalance that equation of life by saying, what are some things that I do enjoy that still relax me? What are some things that still support my goal? Graham rides kilometres and he'll ride to Rockingham and back just for fun. What are some things Mandurah and back just for fun, right? But now he can ask himself, what can I do that would support my goal without the overstimulation? And then it might be something like exploring some, yoga or downtime or salt baths or anything that allows him to still support his health and his endurance. Or sleep more, anything. But now that gives you an opportunity to start exploring and bringing in new skills as well. So my suggestion would be to really dial into your heart as well and be like, what does my heart want to do? Because the heart will always keep me fulfilled, but the heart always has the best intentions. What does my heart tell me that I can do that I will really enjoy, that will allow me to relax, that won't actually stimulate me, but it will emotionally feed my soul, that will still support this overall goal of being just a hectic motherfucker that rides all the time, And that would be my suggestion. How's that? Yeah, Jevon. Nav.
Yeah, I'll just share one thing.
I just wanted the mic. One thing that really helped us, especially with the business, and being, like, I wish I didn't have to sleep. Like, honestly, like, I could spend my whole entire life just doing this. Like, it's genuinely what I love more than anything. But what comes with that is we went through our fair share of days we didn't sleep at all, where we're just so fixated on trying to give and trying to create something, because this is just a creation. It's so much fun. Like, we genuinely enjoy creating these experiences and creating services or products to the people. But then what happens is you run yourself into the ground and you can't even enjoy just the fruits of life. And once we understood that, was that there comes a base, and understanding that there's non-negotiables like your sleep and your rest, stuff like meditation and journaling, self-reflection, time to yourself. These come first before anything else, because and once you own that power in the relaxation and understand that relaxation isn't taking away from the things that you want to enjoy doing.